Coming up on AgweekTV, EPA officials travel from Washington to North Dakota to learn about farm pesticide management. This new 2,400-head swine facility near Vollen is indicative of the exciting growth and expansion going on in the pork industry in South Dakota. And CRP has been a popular program for decades, but we'll look at life after CRP contracts expire. Welcome to AgweekTV. I'm Michelle Rook. A dozen EPA officials were in North Dakota recently for the Grain Growers Association's 25th annual e-tour. It's an effort to provide education and collaboration between farmers and government regulators. As Jenny Schlecht found, every year they try to include stops to look at crop protection product use, showing the equipment and philosophies used in farming.
Where a shake system opens that up.
This is Nancy Beck's first visit to farms in North Dakota. She oversees EPA's Chemicals and Pesticides program, and her work in Washington has a big impact on the health and safety of people here.
You can read a lot in an office in Washington, D.C., but there is nothing like being out, seeing actually how farmers, growers actually work, operate, the constraints that they have, how our regulations are workable or not workable.
Over the past 25 years, the tour has grown from the North Dakota grain growers to include the corn and soybean associations and other ag groups. They're educating officials about the things that affect growers the most.
Having these people out here and showing these people how we use pesticides is a great education tool for them in their future work with labeling of new products and relabeling of existing products.
Haugen says it's important to show the delegation a variety of operations to showcase a number of different issues.
We try and schedule stops for, we're utilizing different things, like one will focus on herbicide application, I make another stop where we're working with fungicides, maybe another stop where we're dealing with insecticides, just so they get a broad view of everything that goes on with pesticides in agriculture.
Beck says these tours are important for her and her staff because they hear different problems and solutions from farmers around the country.
We're really interested in knowing what's really happening. Our goal is to do smarter regulation where we have an impact where it's needed. We don't want to have unnecessary regulations that aren't helpful.
When it comes to the spring, the summer season.
In Carlsruhe, North Dakota, this is Jenny Schlecht for Ag Week.
Although the focus of the trip was on pesticides, Beck says she also got comments on the Waters of the U.S. rule and the renewable fuels standard to bring back to her colleagues at EPA. The Farm Bill took another step forward last week, passing the Senate in a bipartisan vote of 82 to 11. The legislation was generally praised by farm groups and only had a few changes from the committee version. One was program payments will be limited to one individual per operation. There will be greater haying and grazing flexibility on CRP, and farmers have the option for a one-time switch in 2021 between the PLC and ARC program. The bill must now be reconciled with the House-approved version. The real key will be what the conference committee does with the SNAP work requirements in the House version, as they were not contained in the Senate language.
People always like to focus on the differences. Let us get to conference and then work the thing out. That's what we've done in the past, and that's what we'll do again.
The hope is an agreement can be reached before the current program expires September 30th. The president has not indicated if he will sign the bill without the nutrition reforms. The trade war continued this week with more retaliatory tariffs from several major U.S. trading partners. On July 1st, Canada placed 10% duties on U.S. products such as cooked beef. Mexico raised tariffs from 10 to 20% on pork on Thursday, and additional ag tariffs were also being eyed by China and the EU. A study released by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce indicates the hit to exports in the region by current and proposed tariffs is substantial. Iowa is at $971 million, Minnesota at $498 million, Nebraska is $327 million at risk, with South Dakota at $129 million and North Dakota at $61 million. The Conservation Reserve Program, or CRP, has been a popular federal program for decades. Farmers well know its benefits. It pays landowners to take environmentally sensitive farmland out of production. The land is given a vegetative cover that reduces erosion, improves the soil, and develops wildlife habitat. But more and more farmers are taking their land out of CRP and returning it to cropland. As Jonathan Knudsen found out, much of that is possible due to changes in farming practices.
A year ago, this field was in the Conservation Reserve Program. It was covered with grass, not corn. There are both opportunities and challenges in taking land out of CRP.
It was tough to farm. Some of it was wet, some of it was sandy, some of it was just difficult to deal with.
David Birkeland farms near Grand Forks, North Dakota. At one time, he had about 500 acres in CRP. Now it's down to about 100 acres.
Our goal is to get it in shape to plant, and then from there we'll go back to a no-till or minimum till situation.
CRP began in 1985. It reached peak enrollment in 2007 with 36 million acres nationwide, many of them in the upper Midwest. Now, national CRP enrollment is down to 24.3 million acres.
CRP was a short-term answer to climatic conditions that we were just having a difficult time to overcome with the technology and machinery that we had at that time. But now we're 30 years later. We've got the capability to farm that ground now.
Getting the land back into production can be difficult, but Birkeland said he's had a lot of help from soil scientists at NDSU.
We know a lot more about soil health now than we ever did. We know what we can do to promote soil health and bring some of this ground back into production. Crop choice, cover crops, a lot of things we can do.
Restoring land to production can bring challenges.
A crop that we can get to grow on this saline soil.
But it also brings opportunities, especially in these tough economic times. In Grand Forks, this is Jonathan Knudsen for AgWeek.
Read much more on this story from John in the upcoming Ag Week magazine. Coming up on Ag Week, we'll have the outlook for livestock markets in this volatile environment.
Superior Grain Equipment offers storage and drying solutions designed for your grain handling needs. Mixed flow grain dryers from Superior offer even heating to reduce heat stress cracking, so you get higher quality grain, higher test weights, and better prices. Plus, they use half the energy of conventional screen dryers. Experience cost savings and superior grain conditioning. Make the superior choice today with Superior Grain Equipment.
Get your row crops off to the right start with an Early Riser Case IH planter from Titan Machinery. Case IH Early Riser planters feature high-tech yet rugged planter row units that quickly adapt to the toughest seeding conditions, while leaving an optimal seed bed to promote early, uniform plant emergence. Only Case IH Early Riser planters are designed to leave a flat-bottom seed furrow, ensuring consistent seed depth and even emergence. Contact your local Titan Machinery location today for more information on the next generation of planting technology from Case IH.
Intelligent farming means more crop from every acre. That starts with smart machines and precision application. Introducing the new Rogator C-Series from Challenger, featuring a newer, smarter, more precise way to apply fertilizers and nutrients, more accurately and more efficiently than ever before, resulting in less overlap and less crop damage, all to make you more productive and more profitable. To find out more, contact Butler Machinery today.
Micro Essentials is a premium phosphate product. It's a dry granular product. The main difference with a Micro Essentials type product is you have a homogeneous granule for the nitrogen, the sulfur, the phosphorus, and in this case, the zinc is all in one granule. If you ever have a desire or a need to learn more about what does sulfur do within a soybean plant, what does the potassium do for the corn crop, we have microessentials.com. We also have a great resource, cropnutrition.com.
USDA's much anticipated acreage and quarterly stocks report did not produce any big fireworks. U.S. corn acreage was higher than the March intentions, but down from last year by 1 million acres. Quarterly stocks were slightly higher than 2017. U.S. farmers planted more soybeans than indicated in the March intentions, but fewer acres than 2017. Quarterly stocks were a record 1.22 billion bushel and above 2017. All wheat acreage was 1.8 million acres above 2017, and spring wheat was higher than March and over 2 million acres above 2017. Stocks were just slightly smaller than last year. Joining us with analysis is Tim Petrie to talk about the livestock markets, which have been volatile in part because of the weather.
Yeah, that's right, and that's always the case this time of the year. The cattle industry in particular watches two different aspects of weather. One is grazing conditions where the beef cow herd is, and secondly, the corn crop in the corn belt, because there's an opposite relationship between corn prices and feeder cattle prices. So yeah, on the grazing conditions side, very dry in the southern plains. Thank goodness in the northern plains we're much better than last year, but from a U.S. standpoint, 26% of the beef cow herd is now in drought compared to 6% last year, so a lot of ramifications there.
That has also impacted placements, though, too,
Absolutely.
right?
We placed a lot more cattle on feed starting way back in March with the winter wheat drying up, and so we have actually in March had 9% more cattle on feed, and so by July, now 9% more slaughter, all of June.
And we're not only dealing with record inventory on the cattle side, but really all meats, right?
That's right. We have record production of pork and record production of chicken. This will be, that's been the case the last couple of years. In the case of the beef side, this will be the first year when we've hit record beef production. The last record high was 2002. And so, yeah, we've got a lot of meat to get through, record supplies of total meats and beef, chicken, and pork all at record high levels. So that causes volatility in itself because we've never been there before, and means demand has to come along, or certainly we'll see lower prices.
And of course, the last factor is trade uncertainty, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what made the market so jittery. And, you know, just this week, Mexico is adding another 10% to their tariff, and China another 25%. So that, you know, those issues affect the market, and Chicago traders see that. So, yeah, that's causing the market to be very, very volatile.
All right, Tim, we appreciate you joining us. Tim Petrie from NDSU, and you can listen to our extended conversation on agweek.com. Still ahead on AgweekTV, we'll see how one farmer is living and working with Parkinson's disease. And later, we'll introduce you to a new type of berry that's growing in popularity across the country.
Get ready for the biological revolution. Enhanced by Ag Concepts is a scientifically designed foliar fertilizer formulated to quickly deliver essential nutrients to your crops for the greatest possible yields.
I had a hail incident and I only had maybe beans that were 4 inches tall. I put some Enhance out. That seemed to really bring my beans back. Got 40 bushel beans compared to a 0. That's the best dollar ever spent.
Join the biological revolution with Enhance by Ag Concepts.
Luckin Trucks and Parts sells quality used parts for all makes and models. With over 50 acres of trucks and parts and new inventory arriving daily. Family owned and operated since 1966, Luckin's specializes in the sale of quality used medium to heavy duty truck parts as well as pre-owned trucks, trailers, and construction equipment. If it's on a truck, we got it. Call us today and let us get you your part.
Advanced Grain Handling is your regional dealer for grain handler dryers, bins, and accessories. With Grain Handler's continuous mixed flow drying systems, you're capable of high levels of grain dryer efficiency on all types of grain, including seed grain. Advanced Grain Handling also carries West Steel's quality stainless steel products for on-farm and commercial grain storage solutions. Advanced Grain Handling has licensed and trained service techs and a licensed electrical shop. Get a hold of Chad Kylo to find the perfect solution for your farm.
I'm 120, 130, 130, 55, once around the block, 212 miles right here, now half them times up. So
if you're thinking about selling a piece of land, or you're looking to sell some farm equipment, or if you're thinking about a retirement or involved in an estate, give us a call. We'll sit down and tell you all about the Steffes way. We think it's a good way. That's how we approach it. If any of those are in your plans, give us a call or go to steffesgroup.com. Learn all about us. Hope to hear from you.
The swine industry is expanding in South Dakota, but not without some growing pains. Opposition to several new concentrated animal feeding operations in Yankton County has resulted in lawsuits against the county commission. However, one family has pushed through to stay in farming during the current economic downturn. This new 2,400-head swine facility near Vollen is indicative of the growth going on in the pork industry in South Dakota. The unit owned by the Johnson family is the first to be built in Yankton County amidst public pushback.
It's something my dad and I decided to do last year. We ran some opposition. We were going to do a finisher. Then after the opposition, decided to do a nursery because it's easier to get through and get started, and it's cheaper too.
For the Johnsons, this is a way to add value to their grain.
This new facility is a nursery. We take iso-wean pigs and we raise them up to 55 pounds.
We'll be feeding our own corn instead of shipping it out to Hudson or to wherever else. So that'll help.
Due to the opposition the Johnsons faced to the project, they held an open house to show the public this modern facility and how strictly they're regulated.
You have to have a manure management plan. You have to have your acres set aside that you're going to have manure on. We'll do soil testing all the time so that we make sure we never get too much manure in one spot.
Josh says he's doing this for the 6th generation on his farm and is one of many young producers getting into the swine business.
It's a cheaper way for them to get involved with the farm. You can't go out and buy $10,000 an acre ground right out of college or something, whereas this you can come up with a down payment and you can get started and get some equity.
He says growth in swine processing in the region is also encouraging production expansion. That includes the Seaboard Triumph plant in Sioux City, Iowa, and the expansion of the Smithfield Foods plant in Sioux Falls. This week's Crop Stop takes us to Elizabeth in west central Minnesota. That area is in a dry pocket, surrounded by areas hit with far too much rain. David Holt says they got less than an inch total in April and May and about 4 inches in June. Still, he says his crop looks good and he's hoping for timely rains the rest of the season.
Corn has been a good crop. This year looks like it'll be just as good as any year so far if it keeps. We need some more rain though.
If you remember, about 18 months ago, Holt was profiled in an AgWeek story on the prevalence of Parkinson's disease among farmers. He tells us he's continuing with exercise therapy to control the symptoms of Parkinson's. At age 68, he's still an active farmer, but with his physical limitations, he's decided to cut back. He's farming half as many acres, and this fall, he's selling off his cattle.
Parkinson's is a progressive degenerative disease. You can't stop it, but you can sure work hard at slowing it up. Exercise, activity, staying active is a big part of it. Mentally, to stay positive is also very good.
Holt regularly attends the Rocksteady and Big and Loud Parkinson's therapy programs.
Got a special midsummer edition of Ag Week weather on this program, complete with literary references. It has been the long, hot summer, a lot of heat and humidity, although that's typical in July, of course. A lot of stormy nights around. That's also typical, especially in the Great Plains. In the middle of summer, it's a matter of the haves and the have-nots. Some areas still too dry. Some areas have gotten too much rain at times. Going back to mid-April, though, this is the way things look. The U.S. Drought Monitor, the real serious drought in the southwest, spreading out into the southern plains. The winter wheat area is very dry spring. That situation has improved slightly since that time, but it's still pretty dry. Up here in the northern plains, also the rain situation overall has improved. Soil moisture situation, there are still a few pockets that are just a bit too dry, as there are in the southern plains, although some improvement has been noted. Corn Belt generally favorable to, in some spots, a little bit wet, which is good news because it's going to be hot, or at least above average over most of the United States for the next several weeks. For the rest of summer, in fact, in general, not a lot of cool weather, although I think the most anomalously hot weather overall will be the Pacific Northwest. There will be occasional heat waves elsewhere, that is for certain. And rainfall, summer storms are difficult to predict. Rainfall generally below average, the Pacific Northwest and southern plains. Equal chances over most of the northern plains, probably continued wet over most of the eastern edge of the Corn Belt. That means drought conditions are likely to get worse from southern Iowa down through the winter wheat areas. There's also been talk of El Nino again. What does that mean? Well, the trade winds right now are fairly strong and will likely continue to be, but those areas of warm water are already beginning to show up. So an El Nino season this winter is somewhat likely, but that usually doesn't impact summer or fall weather anyway. It might mean some variations this winter with precip.
Get your row crops off to the right start with an early riser Case IH planter from Titan Machinery. Case IH early riser planters feature high-tech yet rugged planter row units that quickly adapt to the toughest seeding conditions, while leaving an optimal seed bed to promote early, uniform plant emergence. Only Case IH early riser planters are designed to leave a flat-bottom seed furrow, ensuring consistent seed depth and even emergence. Contact your local Titan Machinery location today for more information on the next generation of planting technology from Case IH.
Dream of building a new home, garage, shop, barn, or commercial space? What if you could create your ideal building for less than you ever imagined? Want to build a cabin in the woods, a workshop, storage space? Then call your Hanson personal building designer now, and we'll include professionally engineered, sealed plans to your new building absolutely free. Save up to thousands of dollars. Build your ideal dream for less than you ever imagined. Call now.
Intelligent farming means more crop from every acre. That starts with smart machines and precision application. Introducing the new Rogator C-Series from Challenger, featuring a newer, smarter, more precise way to apply fertilizers and nutrients, more accurately and more efficiently than ever before, resulting in less overlap and less crop damage, all to make you more productive and more profitable. To find out more, contact Butler Machinery today.
Add more bushels to your hopper and money to your pocket by harnessing the power of air with Crary Wind Systems. Whether your beans are chest high or barely off the ground, Crary offers two solutions that add a constant stream of high-velocity air to quickly feed crop back to the auger, eliminating bunching, reducing shatter loss, and increasing your ground speed. Don't let crop conditions dictate your yield. Check out the Crary Air Reel or Crary Wind System today.
U.S. sunflower growers, like many other farmers, are concerned by the possibility of lost markets with the trade war. About 30% of sunflower oil and about half of the confectionery crop is exported. So far, the sunflower industry has avoided the tariffs other crops are facing, notably soybeans. John Sandbakken with the National Sunflower Association says the trade environment for soybeans may provide a market opportunity for sunflowers.
We don't have a futures market for sunflower. In fact, where our oil is based off of, and that's where the main value of sunflower comes from, is based off of soybean oil traded on the Chicago Board of Trade. And right now, there has been some depressing action that's been going on in oil, but sunflower, because we had a smaller crop last year, has really been kind of resilient. We've actually trended higher than we were a year ago.
Sandbakken says as long as stocks stay tight, prices should remain firm. But he says they're also keeping a close eye on tariffs and trade policy. There's a fairly new berry that's gaining popularity. They're called Haskap's or honeyberries. Jim and Bernice Ingvaldson grow the berries at their pick-your-own farm called Honeyberry USA. They have about 2,000 honeyberry plants. This is the fourth season they have been open as a U-pick orchard, and honeyberries are the first berries ready in the season. They look like blueberries, but are the size of a grape and even sweeter. When they started growing them in 2010, the Ingvaldsons say no one had heard of Haskap's, not even nurseries.
The market has really taken off, largely because of the newer varieties that are larger berries and better tasting berries, thanks to two main breeding programs.
The honeyberry season runs through early July. The Ingvaldsons also sell Haskap bushes. The farm is open to the public Sundays through Fridays. Summertime is ice cream season. Head on AgweekTV. We'll take you to a dairy that's making some of the best.
Where do you go for the latest news in agriculture? AgWeek magazine. Reaching over 70,000 farmers and ranchers in North Dakota, Minnesota, South Dakota, and Montana. AgWeek provides the most up-to-date information on the markets, the trends, and the people who make it all happen. We're your source for news, not fluff. Dependable, trusted. AgWeek. Subscribe today by calling 1-800-811-2580.
Ag Week is excited to bring you the Ag Week app with useful features and the latest news and information right at your fingertips. Get your Ag Week news, weather, and the latest episodes of AgweekTV. Plus, see real-time information on the futures market and view local cash bids for your crops. Stay updated and take Ag Week with you wherever you are. Download the Ag Week app today.
Every year, 40% of all food in the U.S. never gets eaten.
40%. That's almost half the food we produce.
Food waste is a serious problem. It impacts all of us.
And it's expensive. Your family is throwing $1,500 a year in the trash.
We're working hard to put food waste on the chopping block.
And you can do the same at home.
Learn how to cook it, store it, and share it.
Just don't waste it.
Go to SaveTheFood.com.
I'm Jenny Garth, and as a mother of 3, I know kids worry about a lot of things. Getting enough food to eat shouldn't be one of them. But here in America, that is a real worry for 1 in 5 children. Even though we are one of the most food-rich countries in the world, 15 million children don't know where their next meal is coming from. This is unacceptable, and something the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks is working to solve. Instead of accepting that our country lets billions of pounds of surplus food go to waste every year, Feeding America has made it their mission to help families in need by rescuing this food. Through food pantries and meal programs, the nationwide network of food banks provides more than 3 billion meals, serving virtually every community in the United States, including yours. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank by visiting feedingamerica.org. Together we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
So what's better on a hot summer day than a scoop of your favorite ice cream? For some, it's buying that product local and fresh. That's the key to success for a Northwest Iowa dairy operation that's processing their own milk right on the farm. From dairy production to processing, it's all done local and fresh here at Stensland Family Farms and Creamery. The 175-cow robotic dairy processes their own milk on the farm into a host of products, and Doug Stensland says their pasteurization method sets their milk apart.
With that pasteurization, we're using the low heat process where the temperature is raised to 142 degrees for 30 minutes rather than the high temp, and I think that makes a difference in taste of the milk.
That taste transfers to their butters and cheeses, but it's ice cream that has quickly made them a household name in the tri-state area.
Ice cream, that's our big thing. We do a number of different flavors of ice cream. I think with a retail location in Sioux Falls, there are probably 26 different flavors of ice cream.
In less than 2 years, they've also expanded into 50 other outlets, such as daycares, coffee shops, and grocery stores.
We have quite a few Hy-Vees here in Sioux Falls, the Sunshines in the surrounding area, the Fairways.
And with more consumers interested in buying local and knowing where their food comes from, they also offer farm tours.
It's really neat because a lot of times you can bring the people out and they can come to our farm, they can actually see from the beginning to the end.
However, Stensland believes their attention to detail is at the heart of their success, from what they feed their cows to their ingredients.
Our emphasis is always on the highest quality. No matter what we do or anything we add to our product to make our product is always the highest quality.
He says while they aren't raking in the profits yet, they're encouraged by their growth and excited about the future. Thanks for watching this week's edition of Ag Week TV. Remember, for all your ag news, go to agweek.com or download the Ag Week app. And be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter as well. See you next week.